Alright guys, what's going on? We're back in the shop today, working on the green Nova, putting the front end back together. We've got the subframe all painted up, so if you haven't seen that, go check out the latest video to catch all of that. We're ready to start installing all of our new QA1 suspension and Wilwood brakes. We've also got a whole bunch of new steering parts somewhere that are going on it. So we're getting ready to start reassembling this thing. Now, I've already gone ahead, I know, and put together the driver's side, mostly because I wanted to do a dry run through it without you guys, just because it'll be easier for me to explain or tell you what's going on or how it fits or what I think about it if I know what's going on versus if I fumble through it and try to figure out and read directions alongside with you guys. Based off of doing this side, I mean, I was really happy with the instructions, the way that it assembled. I mean, it was so straightforward and easy. And the instructions that both QA1 and Wilwood provide are just so good. They got pictures, diagrams, blueprints. I mean, they make it as straightforward as humanly possible. And one thing that I really should have done before we took the whole front end apart is I should have measured the height to the bottom of the fender, because I really liked the way that the car sat. And I really want to get back to that height, but I didn't measure it, so we're gonna have to figure it out. One thing that a lot of people think is that the tubular control arms are actually lighter than the factory stuff. This stuff is definitely beefier, and actually I believe has more weight than this stuff. Actually, why just I mean, we can show you. We can show you. Daniel. Hey, I need your help.
What?
We gotta do a secret mission, and we can't tell Mommy. We need to borrow Mommy's scale. Let's
in
go.
our room?
Yeah.
Mommy, he wants to borrow his scale.
Hey! Traitor!
Mommy, he wants to borrow your scale.
Oh yeah, this'll work. Alright guys, so we stole Rebecca's scale from upstairs in the bathroom, and we're going to compare the factory lower control arm and brake system, coil spring, shock, and we're going to compare this to the new setup which we're installing. Now, obviously this isn't built. We're going to assemble it together on the passenger side of the car, but we've got our new Wilwood brake rotor hub, we got the lower control arm, coil over shock, new spindles, there's a steering arm in here, brake pads, and we're going to compare the weight of this to that to see whether we're losing or gaining weight. Now, I mean, realistically, this is a different brake system. You know, this is a disc brake system as opposed to the drum brake system, and you've got a lot of extra stuff going on here with the drum brake system. So even though I'm pretty confident that that lower control arm is definitely a little bit heavier than the factory control arms, I think we're gonna be pretty close in weight and not really losing or gaining a lot. So let's throw them on here and see what we get. Okay, so upper control arms, the new upper control arms, it's saying are coming out at 7 pounds versus... Well, that backfired. As far as the upper control arms are concerned, the new ones are actually a little bit lighter than the old ones. These definitely have a lot less material than what the old ones have. So let's compare the lowers. Come on now. £60. Okay, so just with the lower control arms, we are losing actually considerably more weight than I thought we were going to be losing. So even though the weight of the control arm itself might be more on the QA1 stuff, The overall combined weight of changing from the drum brake system to the Wilwood disc brake system is actually going to cause us to lose some weight, so that's really cool. Now that we know the weights, let's get to putting this stuff together on the other side of the car so we can at least put the car back on the ground at some point. Let's make sure to return this to Rebecca before she finds out that it's missing. A little bit of brake clean. Don't want to return it dirty. Alright, so now what we gotta do, we're gonna have to open up the garage. We gotta get everything from this side over to that side, which has been a pain in the neck because we have this car, and we don't have a big enough garage. So we've been dealing with this little tiny passageway that I've been trying to sneak through. Oh, squeaking behind the car like this is getting old. And no room on the front of the car. I mean, the green car's right up against the blue car, so you can't fit through here. So pretty much I've been either crawling underneath the car to get to my toolbox or to anything on that side of the car, or to get out of the garage, or barely sneaking through the back. So we gotta open up the garage door, which stinks because, as you saw, we got snow and it's cold and windy, and we're gonna lose all our heat in here. So we gotta get everything from here over there, and we're gonna drag it all around the back. I've actually had these parts, I've had most of the stuff for this car laying around for, I don't know, almost a year now. So one thing that I want to let you know, since you didn't see me unbox it and you didn't see me kind of loosely assemble it, is that when QA1 ships you your coil over, it's going to be set up differently. They actually send these to you with, I have the original stuff, but they actually send you the coil over set up to bolt into the stock lower control arms for your car. They do not send it to bolt into their lower control arm. So you're going to have to, that's that T handle that I was talking about, where this would, of course I threw everything over there, but basically this is pressed into the bushing at the bottom of their coil over shock and is designed to bolt in to the stock locations on a, your factory lower control arms. So if you're going to be running the QA1 lower control arm, you got to press this, press this out. They give you a metal sleeve and a bolt that you press this out, press the metal sleeve in, and then you run their bolt and bolt it to their lower control arm bracket that goes in here. Basically, the QA1 stuff allows you to do a lot of mixing and matching and upgrading as your budget allows versus, having to buy everything all at once. Now, I bought everything all at once. When I bought this a year ago, I actually bought it as the Drag Racing Level 2 kit. The link to that's in the description. Now, QA1 has actually modified and changed the design of their lower control arms for these cars and the Camaros in the past year. So you can't even get at only a year old, this lower control arm is already basically obsolete. I have links in the description to, this lower control arm set up in that Drag Race Level 2 kit, and I also have links to basically their part number that replaces this lower control arm. But it's still not going to change anything in this video. By me showing you the install and how easy everything goes, with this part number versus their other part number, it's all going to be virtually the same thing. Alright, so we're over here on the passenger side. We're going to start assembling all the new stuff. Got everything over here. Hopefully I'm not going to screw up the lighting by having this drop light here, but I want to make sure that you guys can see what's going on. So the first order of business is going to be actually bolting on the upper and lower control arms, and then we'll start assembling all the new spindles and steering arms and stuff off of that once we actually got them hung. We also have to, at some point, unbolt the rest of this steering stuff because we have all new steering stuff. Get ready for the snow?
Yes.
Are you going out there?
Yes.
Is it cold out there?
No.
Daddy's trying to get his car back together.
Why?
So it rolls again.
Oh, make mess.
I did make a mess. I'm sorry. Now make sure, before you put the coil spring over top of the coilover shock, that you throw a bunch of never sees on here. What you don't want happening when you're trying to adjust the coilover height is you don't want any galling to happen to this aluminum. It's an aluminum shock body and threads, so the second you wreck these threads, you're done and you've wasted your money on this coilover. So make sure you put a whole bunch of never sees on here while it's easy to get to. And another really cool thing about the QA1 coilover is you can actually get this Tornton bearing, so you run a spacer, the bearing, and another spacer, and when we go to start adjusting on this coilover, and you actually have pressure on the bottom of the coil spring, what this Tornton bearing is going to allow to happen is for the spring to rotate instead of just bind up. So that's pretty cool. I believe that this was separate. Did not come with the QA1 coilover shock. I believe you had, I forget what the cost is. I'll put a link in the description for it. But I believe that I paid separately for the Tornton bearing. So you do have to apply some pressure with a jack to get the top of the shock to come up through the frame. So once the top of the shock is up through the frame, we can put that together. Alright, so while we still got pressure on it, we're going to put the spindle on here. There we go. The spindles came from Right Stuff Detailing. Despite how they look in the picture on Summit, they show them as being black, but they ship them to you raw. I painted these, I think with the same paint that I used to paint the chassis, that VHT chassis paint. Just make sure that when you do that, obviously you tape off the spindle because you don't want paint and overspray and everything all over the spindle itself. You just want the housing of the spindle to have paint on it. Alright, now the steering arm goes like this. Alright, so this is where it starts to get interesting. So Wilwood, this is the factory style bolt that would go through there. And the problem with this bolt is with the new caliper adapter plate that we need, which goes like this. With that bolt, it'll be too short to get a nut on the back of it. So Wilwood replaces this bolt with their own. That's part of their hardware kit that comes with the Big Brake kit. So you are still going to utilize the front, your stock factory front bolt, but you will be replacing the OEM style back steering arm bolt, because that's what you're gonna use this spindle location to mount the new caliper mounting bracket. So you can see the difference between these two bolts. Obviously one's longer. You're gonna run one washer on the front. Wilwood gives you a bunch of shims. According to the directions, you're gonna utilize 3 shims on the back side of the bolt before it goes through the spindle and the steering arm. On the back side of that, you get another washer, and then obviously their nut to go on the back of it. For the top, Wilwood gives you a spacer, which goes on the back side like this, and a conical shaped bolt for the top spindle. Alright, so the next step before mounting the caliper is going to be assembling the rotor and the hub and getting that on here. So we got to go pack some wheel bearings. You got ice cream for me?
No.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Eat it.
Okay, I eat it. Bye. All right, so once you've got the bearing packed, you have to install this seal. And I found that the best trick, I mean, if you had a socket that was big enough, that'd be fine too. But you want to make sure that you don't damage the rubber seal that's in here. But you also have to be able to pound this bearing in. So, of course, now I can't find my hammer. What I found works really, really well because it's thin and it's the same diameter. Is this actually came out of a ball joint kit that I got from Harbor Freight a few months back to make some repairs on Rebecca's car. But the cups that they use for the, removing a ball joint work amazing for smashing that bearing in. I mean, that seal in. So if you're looking for a hack on how to get this thing in, that's the ticket. Ball joint kit. Just gotta pack the front bearing. Bingo. The important thing to know too about these spindles is they do not come with neither the new spindles or the Wilwood kit comes with the spindle nut. It's actually one of the few pieces of hardware that the Wilwood kit does not replace or give you a new one of. Wilwood does give you a new dust cover, and it is a little bit thicker than the OEM style, so you are not going to reuse your dust cover. You're going to use the Wilwood one. So if you're installing on your original front spindle, you're going to reuse the spindle nut, but if, like me, you're going to order new spindles and all new hardware and whatnot, you're going to need to order a spindle nut because it comes with nothing that you've ordered. The cool thing is I went to Napa, and this is just an off-the-shelf Dorman part that Napa actually carries in stock. It was right on their shelf. So I'll post the part number up for that in case you want to order it, or you could just run into your local Napa auto parts store and let them know what you're looking for, and they have it. So that's cool. Alright, so Wilwood also provides the hardware for their caliper, which consists of 2 caliper bolts, washers, and a whole bunch of shims. You're going to run their caliper bolt with a washer on it, and then to get the correct spacing, you're going to run 2 shims on the other side. And then that will bolt directly to the back of the that new caliper mounting bracket that we mounted. Okay, so start that and keep it loose, and then the same thing for the bottom. You're gonna go bolt with the washer, flip this up, put the 2 shims on there, bring it. Oh. All right. Then we'll tighten these guys up. All right, so your brake pads. installed. Of course, I lost the cotter pin. Bingo. Another thing too, a lot of things here. The Wilwood kit does not come with the fitting for the back of the caliper for the brake hose. What I went ahead and did was I ordered the stainless steel line from Wilwood, which comes with the fittings. It comes with the fitting for the back of the caliper, it comes with the clip, and the connection that goes into the frame and connects to your hard line. Okay. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've got all of the front suspension, steering, and brakes hooked up. So that's going to wrap up this video. We're still waiting for the drive shaft. We still need to bleed the brakes and bed them, and we need to adjust those coilovers. I've got them roughly adjusted, but we haven't put the car on the ground yet to see where the actual front end height is. So we definitely still need a front end alignment. That's going to be it for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Remember the shout out to Mike?
To shout out to Mike?
Yeah. Well, Papa told me to.
Why?
He wants me in one of the next videos.
Mike does? Oh, okay.